welcome to another chat with the Quiet Mind with Lucy and Matthew. We're in a coffee shop at the moment, and I just wanted to talk about fear of abandonment, which is something that was coming up for me now. And I had some emotion come up, and it creates fear thoughts of the future scenario that you need to protect yourself from. And I think actually that's what happens in my body as well. That fear of the thought of abandonment then creates this bracing in my body, because it's gonna happen, and so I need to protect myself. And then very quickly I have to check, and it's happened a couple of times before with Matthew, where I want to then push away from him and say, just I'll go and leave him, like.
Yeah.
And
before anything even happens, you want to leave, you want to run.
Exactly, before anything happens. And it's just a story, it's a complete story. Like Matthew's just expressing what's coming up, but I create a story which then leads to the reaction of running off. And that has happened in the past, where I've just refused to join and then just kind of got completely lost in the story rather than feel the emotion and go through the healing. But yeah, it's getting less that way now, because I'm a bit more conscious of my reaction. So I kind of said immediately, I'm feeling to like run off before you do. And and then we sat together and actually felt into the emotion, away from the storyline of what could happen or what has happened in the past. Or
the story is a complete distraction away from actually feeling the feeling. And this is what seems to be the common pattern, is the feeling happens, and then straight away it goes up into the head, into thoughts and stories, and spirals into fear and panic, and then it just kind of gets a little out of control sometimes. But we were just talking about the deeper decision is actually the choice to feel the symptoms and sensations rather than feel the emotion itself, because it's too scary. So the mind kind of unconsciously chooses to have the symptoms instead of the feeling. It believes it's the feeling will just annihilate you completely or swallow you up or whatever. You know, people suffer with back pain their whole life, and different sorts of chronic illnesses. Like, it's always has an emotional root. There's a book I read years ago by some doctor who said the mind rushes to the symptom instead of feeling the emotion. Symptom prerogative, I think he called it.
and you read that when you had stuff.
Yeah. I learned this firsthand myself when I was going through a deep healing. Like, deep unconscious memories came up, and I had a lot of physical symptoms. It was Jenny that suggested get this book from this doctor, and it really made sense. And the course goes along with this theory that it is all psychological. It's all to do with your mind. So when I was really suffering, my prayer was to get in touch with these emotions instead of, like, I was trying to consciously choose again. Instead of choosing this pain, I want to feel the emotions. I want to allow myself to feel these emotions, let them come up. And I really worked on that as much as I could. And after some time, the pain did go away. Thankfully, you know, I had a lot of loving support at that time, a lot of Holy Spirit characters. And when you're ready to heal, and choose to heal, you will have the support. You know, the characters will show up. It'll be facilitated somehow. I trust that's the same for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm actually seeing now that pain is a bit of a gateway to healing and becoming closer to
Truth.
to the truth. Yeah, because I'm actually being forced to pay attention to my emotions. So it is a gateway to healing. I know Eckhart Tolle says that pain is a gateway to awakening.
Yeah.
And like the ego will say, oh, you need this, you need that, doctors and all of these sorts of things, you know, that is helpful and can be guided, yeah, but you do want to get to the root cause, right? Because otherwise it will just be another thing on top of another thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing, and then ultimately it is an identity problem.
Right. Yeah. And it's been going on quite a while. The pain and the symptoms, it becomes a story, and that story is repeated over and over again. It becomes your identity. Your personality is almost weaved into it as well, into like victim self-concept, very much tied into
Body identity.
yeah.
Like I'm, like the
Right,
Course
this
says,
is
I'm
me.
not a body.
Yeah.
I've been mistaken. That was the lesson yesterday. Sickness is a defense against the truth. I have been mistaken in who I think I am through this pain. Yeah. I like what Byron Katie says as well, because I was listening to her and she was talking about, because I think for me, like I can then beat myself up for this story that I've created. You know, it's like, oh, how do you get out of the story? It isn't by beating yourself up for having the story. Like she was saying how, of course the story's there. That's something that's there, and it's about forgiving it. You know, not saying, oh, why did this happen, or you know, this story is here. This story that didn't used to be here is now here, and I remember when I was better, or I was whatever. But she was saying to soften around it. It's like, yeah, of course it's there. Of course it's there. Okay, we say it's there, and we're choosing it. We want it as well. Like you're getting honest. You actually want the pain. You actually want the story because you. Why? Why do you want the story?
Yeah.
Because you.
There's too much fear of actually getting in touch with the core emotion, and it's unknown as well. It's like Jesus says, only the hidden can terrify, not for what it is, but for its hiddenness. That is scary to the mind. So it rather will stay in the surface story and the thoughts. Not really dig any deeper. But what Jesus says really needs to be taken as the truth. It's not scary, but it's only because it's hidden, and the choice to have it hidden, that's what makes it scary. When I was going through this deep healing years ago, like before you actually are facing it and going through it, the thought of it is way more terrifying than the actual doing of it, because you're really held, you know. I remember specifically I called upon I may not have even called upon them. God, I feel like crying now. But the night I had a big emotional release. I remember going to bed that night and I heard a song. Someone had posted a song on Facebook, and I had a line in it about being held by the angels, and I heard, "We're with you tonight," or "They'll hold me tonight." The whole night I felt their embrace. Even when I woke up the next morning, I felt like I was embraced by an angel, just completely enclosed in its loving embrace. So when you are ready to look at your deepest fears, or the things you've been avoiding for so long, you will be held. You will be supported through it. Yeah, maybe you could share about the healing just now.
Yeah. Yeah, what tends to happen for me is when the emotion comes up, there's a sort of pain that kind of makes its way up from my stomach into my head. But yeah, recently me and Matthew have just been like sitting together and really just like closing my eyes and then feeling where the sensation is in the body, like just gently locating it wherever it is, in the heart, in the stomach, breathing into it and
Giving yourself permission to feel it.
yeah, without the story, without the thoughts of the past or the future, just really getting really present. Yeah, and we did it today, just now and here, and then also yesterday I was having a lot of anger come up. And I think anger is a very difficult emotion because it wasn't allowed, I don't think. I was never allowed to be angry as a kid. It was just not allowed. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for being with us for another edition of The Quiet Mind. If you feel inspired, you can support this show by leaving comments on Spotify, Facebook, and the video channel on YouTube as well. We are growing these channels and we're very inspired to put new content out there. We're not going to monetize any of the channels, so even leaving comments whenever you see posts or on Spotify and YouTube is really helpful. That is supporting the channel, so we really appreciate you. Thank you.